There are some numbers that came out within the last 24 hours that are making me very nervous with what is happening to this economy. They're very concerning. I want to go over them with you today. Let's get started. Please make sure you share this video, make sure you subscribe, and remember, hit that bell notification so that you are alerted when the newest video comes out. Quickly, I want to thank everybody who has written me with positive words of encouragement. I want to thank everybody who's made a donation. And again, even if you send $1 or $2, it helps me greatly to keep producing these videos and to keep waking people up. Thank you so much. God bless every one of you. I want to go over some of these numbers with you that are very, very concerning regarding the economy here in the United States of America. We have the April U.S. auto sale numbers, and they pretty much crashed. U.S. auto sales tumbled 6.1% in April. This is the biggest monthly drop since May of 2011. Year-over-year sales are down. They're down 4.3%. This is the weakest sales have been in 8 years. We're now seeing soaring oil prices here in America, and you have to ask yourself, what is this going to do to the automotive industry? What if we start seeing oil breaking into the 80s or $90 a barrel? Heaven forbid we see $100 oil. This is very, very possible. And it's going to have a huge effect on the auto industry. And of course, this economy and people living paycheck to paycheck is having an enormous effect on the auto industry. Even with these exotic loans and these subprime loans, they are struggling. And this is a huge warning sign to every one of you about what is happening in this economy and why you must be getting prepared. This is no joke, folks. This is really, I think this is a real bad warning sign of what we're seeing in this economy. Doesn't matter what the stock market is doing at this point. It is completely detached from reality. What is happening in the auto industry, retail, and housing is, I believe, a lot more accurate than what Wall Street is telling us. As most of you know, real estate has been falling off of a cliff throughout the country. Now, there are pockets that are doing quite well, but for the most part, we are seeing horrific numbers taking place here across the country. What is interesting is the luxury market. And there was an article out today on Zero Hedge. Sales of homes above $2 million plunged 16% year over year. This is the most significant decline since 2010. This is according to Redfin. The supply of luxury homes surged 14% annually in the first quarter of 2019. First quarter of 2019, Newport Beach, California posted a 33% decline in the number of luxury homes sold. West Palm Beach in Florida was down 23.1%. Now, living for many years in Orange County, this is astonishing to see these kind of numbers in Orange County, California. Newport Beach, California, posting a 33% decline in the number of luxury homes sold. This is absolutely mind-blowing when you see numbers like this. And again, it is a real warning sign to every one of you to what's going on. This is even a bigger warning sign. Construction spending turns south. This was on Wolf Street, good website. And this really is making me nervous. I mean, we are seeing markets throughout the country, and we're seeing these luxury markets really getting hit. And you know, many people say, and I have to tend to believe this, that, you know, it's going to start at the higher end market and it's going to trickle down. Whereas back in 2008, it started at the lower end and trickled up. But we are definitely seeing things that we haven't seen for a while. And this is really making people very nervous. This article on Wolf Street, total residential construction dropped 8.4% from a year ago. That's huge. Just remember, the annual rate in February 2006 was $684 billion. Just 22 months later, the construction industry collapsed when the Great Recession arrived in 2008. Things have never fully recovered from 2008. And although they've injected all this quantitative easing, the 0% interest, just complete manipulation of these markets, free money, low rates. This is where we're at today. This is as good as they can get it. They cannot revive it. This patient is on the hospital bed with tons of needles and tubes in its arms, and it's barely got a pulse. Everything they've done, all this money that they injected into these markets, all this manipulation, they cannot revive it. So, I mean, I don't know what more to say other than get ready, because as we learned in 2006 how great the real estate markets were doing, especially out here, they were just going gangbusters. It was just 22 months later from the height of 2006 when the whole house of cards came tumbling down and reality set in, and people found out that they weren't worth what they were worth. They found out that their 401ks were annihilated. They found out that their investments in the stock market had been annihilated. They found out that their IRAs were annihilated. They found out that their home prices were annihilated. And so, you know, I make these videos because I went through 2008. I witnessed this. I was a part of it. You do not want to be one of these people who is going to be late to the party, okay? When the music stops, you better have a chair. And the people who don't, again, are going to get annihilated. We are going to witness the biggest wealth transfer the entire world has seen. You do not want to be a victim of what is coming on the next one. And people who get complacent and who just think that it hasn't happened yet, so it's not going to happen. How many people in 2006 were drinking the Kool-Aid, just getting deeper into debt, getting more involved in these overvalued assets, and sure enough, that day of reckoning came and these people got annihilated. You do not want to be one of these people. I don't think I need to say anything more about the retail apocalypse other than CVS just came out and announced they're going to be closing another 46 stores. So if this is a great economy, I sure hate to see what happens when the recession hits. And we are long overdue for a recession here in America. It is coming. It is without a doubt coming. It's here. People just haven't seen the effects yet, but they have started. This recession's here. It's not going away. It doesn't matter what your friends are telling you. It doesn't matter what your neighbors are telling you. People can live in this cocoon. They can live in their bubbles. But at the end of the day, the reality is things are going to be changing here in America. Your environment's going to change. And the people who are prepared are going to survive it. The people who aren't are going to get wiped out. I read a very interesting article today on Zero Hedge, and it was regarding the middle class. What is middle class? Who is the middle class? I think a lot of people out there think that they're middle class, but they're really not middle class. I think a lot of people have been fooled into believing that they're doing better than they really are. And this article breaks it down. It says the bottom 95% of America is poor. You're middle class if you have meaningful health care, not a $5,000 deductible that doesn't qualify you, nor does government-provided low-income coverage like Medicaid. You're middle class if you have significant equity in a home or other real estate. The equity has to be 25 to 50%. You're middle class if you have income and expenses which enable the household to save at least 6% of its income. You're middle class if you have significant retirement funds, 401ks, IRAs, etc. If you have the ability to service all debt and expenses over the medium term, if one of the primary household wage earners loses their job. You're middle class if you have reliable vehicles for each wage earner in your household. You're middle class if you have a household if a household requires government assistance to maintain the family lifestyle, the middle class status is in doubt. You are not middle class. A percentage of non-paper, non-real estate hard assets such as family heirlooms, precious metals like gold and silver, etc. These can be passed on to your kids, to the next generation. If you have the ability to invest in your offspring, offering them an education, training, extracurricular activities. You're middle class if you have leisure time that you can devote to the maintenance of your physical self, your spirituality, and your mental fitness. You're middle class if you have continual accumulation of human and social capital. I mean, these are some great points. And you have to ask yourself, how many of you have these? How many of us can really say, truly, we're middle class? It's a really good article. It makes some really, really good points. And, you know, I bet most people probably in the 1950s, 1960s, even the 1970s, maybe even 80s, most people could say that they had every one of these qualities, that they were actually middle class. 95% of people today cannot say, according to this article, that they're middle class. And this is just the witnessing of the decay of the middle class, the destruction of the middle class here in America. And you know, the middle class is the backbone of America, and without it, I don't believe America can survive. The middle class has taken more of a beating than anybody. It's really, really sad to see this. The decay of the middle class and the standard of living is decaying on two fronts: quantitative and qualitative. Quantitatively, households can no longer afford services and activities. Qualitatively, they can no longer afford the better quality of goods and services. And so we are witnessing, again, the destruction of the middle class, which inevitably is the destruction of America. It does not make me feel good to share this kind of news with you guys. These things really make me nervous. It really saddens me to see the pain and suffering people are going through just to make ends meet, to see the destruction of the middle class here in America, and to see hardworking people barely making it, some of them not making it, so many people on the streets, seeing all this retail going down the tubes, and just seeing America falling right before my eyes. And I think most of you can relate to that because you see it too, and I'm just sharing it with you. But I have to make this point again. You've got to be really looking out for yourself. We're not going to stop an economic collapse, but you have to do the best you can to stop your own economic collapse. And again, this is why I'm such a proponent and believer in having some of this silver, some of this white stuff, and some of this yellow stuff. You know, if you can have both, I think it's great to diversify, have silver, have gold. And really, at this point, you have to be your own central bank. You're going to have to rely on yourself. Things are changing quickly in America. And again, these are the two most undervalued assets in the entire world. They took a beating today. There's no excuse that you cannot at least buy an ounce of silver or a few ounces of silver. The yellow stuff, gold, still a bargain. These are the two best investments, I believe, financially you can be making right now. There's no reason to be jumping into overvalued assets. You want to be in undervalued assets right now. This is what you want to be in. And there's an article out all over the internet about multiple countries taking their gold back. I want to go over this very quickly with you. Romania is bringing nearly 100 tons of gold back from the Bank of England. Germany called back 674 tons of gold from France and the U.S. Federal Reserve. National Bank of Hungary calling back 100,000 ounces of gold from the Bank of England. The citizens of Italy are preparing to take control of Italy's gold reserves. The people say it belongs to us, not the banks. You know, it's funny how people demonize and degrade the precious metals, yet countries are fighting over it. Countries are hoarding it. Central banks are hoarding it. People all over the world are buying it. And the question is, why are you not preparing by owning your own precious metal, securing your own wealth, preserving and ensuring the future of your life and your family? I truly believe that paper is not going to protect you, but I do believe that metal will. Again, as I've always said, security number one, make sure you're topping off all your preps, but financially, you've got to have real money set aside for an emergency. I believe you should have some paper cash put away. I believe that you should not be having a high amount of cash in your bank account right now. I think you should have it in other places that you can access it in case we see a a bail-in this country, but I'm an adamant proponent that you must have precious metals and that you must be stacking. Right now, this is a sale. There's no excuses. Cut out your Starbucks, cut out going out to eat, cut out, buying a t-shirt or a new pair of shoes. Make a sacrifice and start getting prepared. I'm going to leave it on that note, guys. We're seeing some really, really troublesome warning signs here in America. Of course, we're witnessing what's happening throughout the world in France, what's happening in Venezuela. And we see what happens to a disarmed people when they disarmed the Venezuelans in 2012. It's hard to get out in the streets and fight and just being able to throw rocks at people that are highly armed. So that's another reason why we must exercise our right and make sure that we are secure, that you have security, and that you are training. Guys, have a wonderful, incredible day. Have a great week. I'll talk to you very, very soon. Please pray for this country, pray for this president, and thank you so much for taking your valuable time and watching this video. God bless you.